Los Angeles Lakers, Dennis Schroder trade packages with Knicks and Bulls.
All signs have been pointing to Dennis Schroder playing for a different team in 2021. Schroder's fit with the Los Angeles Lakers this season was not as good as expected, and Schroder is asking for far too much money to justify bringing him back. Schroder reportedly turned down a 4-year, $84 million extension offer from the Lakers during the season and is now communicating that he wants a contract in the $100 to $120 million range. While he likely won't get that much, that is simply too much for the Lakers to justify paying with how Schroder played last season, but it is better for the team to not outright lose the cap space. Thus, the best case scenario for the Lakers is a sign and trade. Lakers rumors: the Chicago Bulls and New York Knicks have emerged as potential candidates. According to Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report, some league sources believe that the Bulls and Knicks will emerge as suitors for Schroder this offseason. Fisher explains how the Knicks have the cap space to outright sign Schroder, so that could become a hurdle for the Lakers. The team might not get the best trade package in the world from either team, but it is better to get something than nothing. Let's break down what the Lakers could get from both teams, starting with the Chicago Bulls. The Los Angeles Lakers add one veteran and one youthful player from Chicago. Again, the Bulls and Knicks do not have the best trade packages in the world for Schroder, but if they are the only teams that are interested in him and willing to take him on in a sign and trade deal, then the Lakers are going to have to bite the bullet to get something for the point guard. This deal with Chicago sees the Lakers land a veteran that can help score off the bench as well as a young lottery player who the team would hope it can develop. First, let's break down what the Lakers would be getting in this deal. Thaddeus Young would bring a decent scoring presence to the Lakers bench and would be a better fit for the team at the power forward position than Kyle Kuzma. It is a bit redundant to have Young with Kuzma in the rotation, but with him being a better fit, it opens the door even further to trade Kuzma. In white, the Lakers are getting a 21-year-old point guard who has shown flashes thus far in his career but is still very raw. He averaged 15.2 points per game last season, but his advanced numbers were not great, posting a negative box plus, minus and negative value over replacement player last season. The Lakers would be betting on their player development and the potential White has a former 7th overall pick. The Bulls could do this trade as they have pushed their chips into the contending pot by trading for Nikola Vucevic. Seeing how White played the last 2 seasons, the Bulls may pass on the developmental part of the equation and go and get Schroder, who could be a really solid third scoring option for Chicago. White had shoulder surgery in June that is going to keep him out until October, which could be even more of a reason to trade him for Chicago. The Lakers are taking on $20 million in salary in this trade, so Schroder's salary would be in the $20 to $23 million range. The Los Angeles Lakers get a better fit at point guard from New York. It is hard to pull off a sign and trade with the New York Knicks as so many of their players are free agents this offseason. The only way to really make it doable is by having the Knicks conduct a sign and trade as well. Again, the Knicks do not even have to do this. They have the cap space to outright sign Schroder if they so please, so it would come down to doing a player on their team a favor by trading him to the Los Angeles Lakers. This is it. With a ton of cap space, the one way the Lakers might be able to convince the Knicks to do a sign and trade is if Derrick Rose wants to be a Laker but the money does not make sense. In this case, Tom Thibodeau would do Rose a favor, which definitely is possible considering their relationship. If the Knicks are unwilling to do that, then there is no reason for them to do a sign and trade and hard cap themselves at the tax apron. It would make far more sense to simply sign Schroder. The big problem with this potential trade is that the Los Angeles Lakers would be overpaying for Derrick Rose. We can assume that Schroder gets a contract with a $20 million salary, which means that the Lakers would have to bring on Rose for similar money. The one good thing is that Rose is much more likely to take a 1-year deal with an elevated salary than Schroder, so the Lakers could theoretically get him at 1 year, $20 million instead of having to commit $80 million plus to Schroder. While he would be overpaid by the Lakers, Rose is a much better fit and would have a much bigger impact on the Lakers than Schroder. The Lakers need a second playmaker that can also facilitate. Rose is that guy. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.